Now folks, I'm up here at the DSPCA, and the funny thing is, I'm with the mayor, former mayor rather, of South Dublin County Council, Alan Edge, and we just came up here to have a look at one of the stepping stone forests. This is one that was planted earlier in the year, but we bumped into some of the crew from Stepping Stone Forests, and they were here this morning doing a bit of weeding. So, as you can see, John Kybert is there and he's chatting away to Francis, and Cara is keeping her back to me because she doesn't want to be seen. And of course, on the other side there, as I said, the former mayor of South Dublin County, Alan Edge. Now we'll have a chat with Alan in a few minutes because we're going somewhere else, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what it's like to no longer be mayor of South Dublin County. But let's leave that for a while. Now folks, we're here at the DSPCA, and as you can see, Alan, former mayor of South Dublin County Council, is standing in front of a stepping stone forest. This is one that was planted about 6 months ago, and Alan himself was physically involved in it. But we're here this morning because I want to see how Alan's getting on now that he's no longer mayor of South Dublin County. So Alan, what are you doing with yourself at the moment?
Well, I'm being kept busy, Michael. Plenty of work going on in the constituency that needs my attention, so I've got plenty of time now to devote to that. And obviously we still have quite a bit of work to do on some of the initiatives that I was involved in as mayor, and Stepping Stones be among them. So I'm looking forward to having some free time to come out volunteering, maybe do a bit of weeding with some of the crew here. And yeah, so it's good. It's still busy, but maybe not quite as frenetic as it was.
This particular forest, folks, was sponsored, as you can see by the sign in the back, by John Paul Construction. Alan, tell me how important you think the sponsors are to these projects.
The sponsors are really, really important, and you know, there's been a fantastic response from the corporate sponsors in terms of the Stepping Stones Forest and the Stepping Stones Ponds as well, not just in terms of supplying trees, but personnel as well. And it's been a lovely opportunity for people to come up to places like this in the Dublin Mountains here at the DSPCA and to meet other volunteers. So it's really about community, it's about giving back, and of course it's about the environment as well. So I think that the role of the sponsors is huge, and we had a great day up here with John Paul Construction, great crack, and we had members of the South Dublin Volunteers as well. It's really, really nice for them. Many of them are in international protection. It's really nice for them to meet other people, meet other volunteers, kind of share stories, get to know each other. So it's a fantastic community event, and having the sponsors involved, I think, really helps that as well.
Now folks, we're just leaving the DSPCA and we're heading down to Sean Walsh Park. And as you can see, I'm a passenger today. I'm not driving. That's Alan Edge doing the driving there, former mayor of South Dublin County. And he's stopping for some unknown reason.
Sorry?
Oh, you're going to hit Siri?
Oh, I'm just going to get my poster.
Oh, the poster, I forgot about that. Alan has just stepped out of the car because apparently a friend of his lives in this house beside us, and there's a poster from the last election in the garden which he's going to pick up. So let's just wait till he gets back and we'll talk to him then. Now folks, Alan is back, but he went into his friend's house to retrieve the poster, but the builder had used it to mix cement. Uh-oh. So
it's not wanting that. Upcycling.
Yes,
for upcycling.
Upcycling. And that's one of the things Alan is going to talk about this morning. In fact, he's going to talk about as many things as I can convince him to talk about. But generally, yeah, environmental issues as a whole, and the council's attitude towards them, and the work that they do to make sure that they're all successful events. So let's wait till we get to Sean Walsh Park and we'll see what Alan has to say then. Now folks, as you can see, Alan and I have arrived at Sean Walsh Park, and we're standing beside the first stepping stone forest that was ever planted, right here in the park. And I can't believe, well I can because I've seen it before, but we're looking at how tall some of these trees have grown. The one in the middle is definitely 20 feet tall, and there's a couple more that are not much smaller. I'll give you a quick look at it and then we'll talk to Alan. And there you go, folks. Absolutely amazing. I can't even get the tops of the trees into the camera. How about that? No, I'm joking. But it really is fantastic how the whole forest has come on. And they're all coming on in much the same way, but that's only just over 2 years growth. Anyway, enough of me. Let's go and talk to Alan. Now folks, Alan is going to tell me about the council's attitude towards Stepping Stone Forest. He was heavily involved himself at the beginning when John first brought the programme to the South Dublin County Council. So Alan, how was it received?
It was received really well, Michael. So when John first mentioned the idea to me, I have to say I didn't really understand the science behind it, and he explained that to me. And he then approached the council, who I think were really enthusiastic because really fitted in with a lot of the work they're doing around biodiversity. There's a huge amount of work being done by our public realm and our parks departments around biodiversity, and this really fitted nicely into that. So they were very enthusiastic from the start. Obviously I worked alongside John and the volunteers from Dodder Action and the corporate groups as well to try and get things up and running. And one of the things we did, I put down a motion to set a fairly ambitious target of 25,000 trees to be planted during the lifetime of the last council, the one that's just ended.
Of which Alan was a mayor, by the way, folks.
I was the mayor for the last year, but so, you know, that seemed to be a fairly optimistic target, but it was reached and exceeded. I don't know what the final tally was. I think it's something in the region of 60,000 stepping stones. Not all of them in South Dublin, but a huge number of trees planted by John, the volunteers from Dodder Action, the community groups, the schools, all of the people, and of course the corporate sponsors. So it's been a fantastic success. I think the council have been really supportive. They really got what John was trying to do. They loved the fact that he had the drive and the passion and access to the volunteers as well. So you know, you have, as I say, Dodder Action, the litter mugs, the South Dublin Volunteer Centre, who've been amazing, and the corporate sponsors and the school groups as well. So quite apart from the fact that it's been you know, having a huge impact in terms of tackling climate change and the biodiversity crisis, it's also been a fantastic community initiative that's brought people together. People have been able to have a bit of fun, to do something a bit different, to give back in a way that is fun, and it's all about community as well. So it's been terrific. And the success, I have to say, is here. See, it's hard to believe now. 2 years ago, this forest was planted under John's method that he uses, the Miyawaki method. Things grow up to 10 times faster than they would, and you can see it. I mean, it's absolutely incredible to think that 2 years ago this was being planted. Look at the size of it now, and I think it's really nice here in the first Stepping Stones forest, which is here, you know, in the heart of Tallaght, if you like, the people who've been involved at various stages, whether they were in school or whether they were belonging to one of the corporate sponsors or volunteers with the South Dublin Volunteer Service, they can come and see actually the progress that's been made and see how quickly these trees have grown and the impact that they're making on you know, local ecology and the environment, and just, you know, the beauty of the park here in Sean Walsh Park as well.
And just before Alan and I moved to our left here, I just saw John Corbett and his dog walking behind Alan.
Oh, I saw that too.
I'll give out to him later for getting in where he shouldn't be. He's obviously followed us down from Mount Venus. So let's go over to the bridge. Now folks, we've just moved across. We're still very close to the first Stepping Stone Forest. We've just moved across to the bridge here. Alan, tell me a little bit more about other projects that the council have been involved in.
So we've got some really, really good people in the council who are really showing a lead nationally in terms of some of the initiatives they're working on. One of which was the Green Infrastructure Strategy, which sat alongside our County Development Plan. County Development Plan is made every 6 years about the future planning of the council. And South Dublin, for the first time, included a green infrastructure piece in that, just talking about how the various green spaces for biodiversity and ecology link up. And that was a really important piece of work. We've also got a fantastic public realm team. They've been very involved with John in terms of the Stepping Stones forests. They've been planting mini woodlands throughout our parks. There's also other initiatives going on. We have long flowering wildflower meadows in our parks now, which is fantastic for biodiversity. You're starting to see things come back, wildflowers coming back, all types of orchids which people mightn't have seen for a long time coming back to our parks. We have a wonderful biodiversity officer who's exceptionally knowledgeable about these things and has great input in terms of our parks and our wildflowers. And we're seeing now as well the public realm actually working with residents groups to identify areas where this could be done on a smaller scale, so not just in public parks but in green spaces within housing estates as well, to bring the wildflowers back. And certain residents groups have been really active in that and have been engaging with the council, identifying no-mow areas, looking at the sort of habitats that they have and how that could be brought back, and really make the most of the wonderful potential that's around us. So there's a huge amount of work being done in terms of other aspects of our public realm. Our play spaces recently were nominated for an award in Europe. I went as mayor, just about natural play, allowing kids to play in areas that aren't necessarily pristine and kind of metallic, but actually places where kids get dirty and scrape their knees and all that sort of thing. And that's been really important, particularly in terms of kids who may be neurodiverse. Actually allowing them to play in a properly natural environment. So I think in general the amount of work that's been done on the council in terms of biodiversity, in terms of tackling climate change, is really positive, and you can see that in our public spaces, and long may it continue. I'll certainly be supporting it as much as I can.
Okay, Alan, I have another question, and this time not strictly about the programme itself, but about the volunteers. Now, obviously, Dodder Action and locals have taken part, but a lot of the recent forests have also had international volunteers. Tell me about the volunteer programme.
So South Dublin Volunteers really are a fantastic organisation. They're a model, I think, of what volunteering is all about. The volunteers are drawn largely, many of them, from people in international protection, those who aren't by law able to work but who want to get involved, who want to contribute to the area that they've settled in. And so the South Dublin Volunteers brings in people who volunteering, perhaps retired people, mixing in with people from international protection, and the impact of those people has been absolutely seismic in terms of the Stepping Stones Forest. They really have looked in and have done a huge amount in terms of our civic life, giving back, doing something great for the environment, and doing something really positive in terms of integration and in terms of bringing communities together. So it would be hard to understate the role of the South Dublin Volunteers in terms of Stepping Stones Forest. When we were doing a recent planting in Dodder Valley Park, it was really wonderful. You saw people from all walks of life, all ages, all nationalities coming together to do something really positive. And that was in response to some of the trees that were vandalised in Dodder Valley Park. So in response to that, and in discussion with John and in discussion with the council, there were, I think, 60 or 70 trees that were taken down. 3,000 were planted, which was an absolutely fantastic response to a bad news story to turn it into a good news story. And the vast majority of people who were there mucking in and helping out planting trees were in international protection. And I spoke to one young guy, really, only probably 19 or 20, who's here seeking asylum, fled Afghanistan and the brutality of the Taliban regime, and he was planting a tree for his mum. He was missing his mum in Afghanistan, and he was planting a tree for her here in South Dublin, and it was a really touching moment. So it's lovely for volunteers themselves, it's fantastic for the county, it's fantastic for our civic life, and South Dublin Volunteers really deserve huge praise, I think, for
So I think now more than ever, Alan, you would agree that we should be welcoming these people into the country.
Absolutely. Everywhere you go, you see the positive impact that people from overseas, people seeking asylum, are having. And obviously there's an awful lot of hate being directed at them. But people who are, throwing the rocks, you would never see them with a shovel in hand, planting trees and actually doing something good for the benefit of their community. And they really could, I think, learn from the example of those in international protection who come out here, roll up their sleeves, get involved and give something back to the community that's hosting them. And the Stepping Stones forests, if anyone is in any doubt, they're the perfect example. Come and look at thousands and thousands of trees that have been planted by people in international protection and by those seeking asylum. And you can see the positive impact that they've had. And I really think it's an example for us all.
Okay, Alan, before we leave, a final question. What are your plans now that you're no longer mayor? I know you're still busy as a councillor, but you're no longer mayor, so what are you planning for the rest of the year?
Well, now that'll be telling, Michael. We may have another election in the offing, so watch this space is all I'd say. But for the time being, I have plenty of work as a councillor to keep me busy, representing the good people of Fairhouse, Bourne, Abrina, and so that's what I'm focused on now. And but I will certainly be mucking in and helping to plant some more trees. That's definitely going to be something I'll be doing. Certainly as long as I'm elected councillor and beyond it, because it's something I'm really passionate about and something I enjoy doing. So you will see me shovel in hand more and more throughout the year.
Well, okay then. I won't make that the last question. I've got one more for you. On a more personal level, hobbies or whatever. Are you into sports or what?
No,
Okay.
no, you wouldn't see me running now unless there's something chasing me, as a general rule. I do a bit of hiking. I like to get out in nature, do a little bit of hiking in the Dublin or Wicklow Mountains, the group that I go out hiking with. Reading, do a lot of reading. And I guess that's pretty much it. Eating, maybe a bit too much eating. But that's probably it hobby-wise,
Okay, well, Alan, I'll leave you in peace. I won't embarrass you anymore. Listen, thanks very much
Pleasure,
for that.
Michael.
Why don't we go over and say hello to John
Let's
before
do
we leave?
Yeah.
Oh, there's Alex. Hi, Alex. There's John doing the litter picking. That's not the reason he's here, but he's doing it anyway. Look at Alex. Thanks for watching Wildlife Wednesday, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined. For now, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.